And I'm back again for a second time today. I don't know why I closed that. So yeah, obviously this is not Wes. So
No, I'm definitely Wes. We just had a small change of pace, a bit of misunderstanding, and this is what we ended up with. This is what happens when you go to the mall. Those makeup people, there's some scary
shady
stuff.
people. All right, got rid of the mustache and everything. But...
There we go. And put it back.
So that's a very good intro. Now do you want to actually introduce yourself here?
Well, in all honesty, my name's wow, actually, I don't know my own name, apparently. My name is Codi, and I am better known as the Hobbit Girl.
All right, the Hobbit Girl. We're going to go with that.
Yes, we're going to go with the Hobbit Girl.
If I can call myself Michael the Comic Nerd, you can call yourself the Hobbit Girl. That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, that being said, we just got out of the Maze Runner. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I think that what I'm going to go with is, why did I just watch that?
I don't know. Why is this popular? I don't understand.
The problem is that it fits in with the genre that's popular. The dystopian teenage heroes that go in and they attack society and come out semi-victorious while still being ambiguous.
It's just like, here's 5,000 plants for a sequel, and here's some monsters that you can't really see.
Yeah, let's look at the CGI and go like this.
Yeah, what's better than a freaking shaky cam? It's not as bad as it was in like As Above, So Below, but it's still pretty bad.
Well, at least we didn't go found footage route, which I'm not really sure how they could have pulled that off. But I mean, if
Cloverfield can do it, but then
this wasn't exactly Cloverfield.
That's true. I mean, they would have to learn how to do it.
And we have to have the incredibly, incredibly attractive pair of leads whose names are similar.
One of which is barely even developed. They didn't even try.
Yeah, the chick just is there. She's like, hello.
There. Okay.
Be there so that we have sexual diversity, so that it's not just a giant sausage fest, which it definitely is for
pretty much. I think we were actually talking to Wes before we saw this movie, and he kind of described it best as like, you'll remark on how there's such diversity in the cast until you realize it really isn't.
I love the fact at the end you have the obligatory, like, people who survive. You have the two traditional Americans. You have the one European fellow. You have the one African American gentleman. You have the one person who looks like they are of Middle Eastern descent. We have covered the basic checks on ethnic diversity.
And yet only the white people have lines.
Exactly. Like, random ethnic characters just pop up so that they're on the screen.
And then they die. They die almost immediately.
Yep.
Alright, so let's go over the story very briefly, as briefly as we usually go in these things, which means it'll take 15-20 minutes. So Maze Runner is apparently based on the teen novels that are apparently very popular right now, mostly because of the movie. Called, of course, Maze Runner. And guess what it's about? People that run in a maze. Big fucking shock. I swear a lot. I hope that's okay. Okay, just making sure. So, yeah, it starts off with this guy named Timothy.
Thomas.
I was close.
Actually, his name's Shaft.
I like that better.
And Green Bean.
I thought it was Shiv they kept calling it.
No, Shaft.
I was like, here's the issue one I have with me. They give a name to everything. Things that don't need names.
But we obviously know the names for things because we know Girl. Have never seen Girl. Lost our memories. See Girl and be like, whoa.
I'm sorry, when you see Girl, Tarzan could figure it out, so could these guys. But biology takes care of itself on that one.
But know the term for it. We don't know what anything else is.
That's true.
But we know what a girl is.
I don't know. There's so many plot holes in this movie. I don't know if the book is the same way. I don't know if it's just a plot with the movie.
I've heard that the book is okay. I've heard that there are parts that, if you're a reader, will make you angry, like if you read a lot. But there are characters that you will get attached to, and then they die pretty terribly, and I have to admit, I didn't get attached to anyone. Like, not anyone. Not even, like...
I like Chuck.
But he's the emotional bait character.
True,
He had so many death flags. Like, please just shoot me. We'll get this over with now.
Okay, so it's about Thomas, who apparently just wakes up in this elevator and gets shot up into the big old quad maze thing.
With a pig that we never see again.
That's true, we never do see the pig again. I guess he makes the fertilizer, that's his one job. But meanwhile, it turns out we get Exposition Fairy named Alibi. I don't know.
Albie.
Albie. I like Alibi better.
Alibi. We need an excuse, so he is our alibi.
He's Alibi. He's basically the exposition fairy as he takes Thomas under his wing, explains everything this world is, and
He's also the strong, leading African-American figure
who dies! Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah, he does die, but we already went over that he died. So he just sits there and fills all of the roles that particular character should do. It was the first person to be brought to the maze, took care of everyone else, built the society, put in rules, takes care of everyone. So we've gotten that stereotype out of the way.
So let's get on to the next stereotype. Angry, obvious villain stereotype, or I'm just gonna call him the, Mark, what'd I call him earlier? The Marky Mark, Discount Marky Mark. Mark Wahlberg.
Complete with the villain eyebrows.
He has like the horrible, I don't know.
We're going back to vaudeville, and we're making it really obvious that we need the really exaggerated
Like, he just has
eyebrows.
like that. He's just angry and constipated the entire movie.
And his face is too small for the rest of him. I'm really sorry. It looks like someone went into Photoshop and just went,
So it's like the opposite of Chris Evans in Captain America.
Exactly.
Where like his head just went like 2 sizes too big for the rest of his body.
Exactly. It was not good.
Steroids. That's what it was. Steroids. So it turns out they live in this big complex maze. They've been there for 3 years. No one knows how the heck to get out. But they have these runners that go in and explore the maze and try to map it out so they can eventually find their way out.
And they apparently get themselves chosen to be runners because no one wants to be a runner, but we don't know by who or how. That is never clarified.
I don't know. It's like, instead you have evil Marky Mark just being evil just being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. He's one of those token characters.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have a lot of motivation for
not really
being evil.
He's just like, I'm evil now. I mean, I can kind of see his logic, and he's kind of right.
He really is. I mean, if you look at the world after they get out of the maze, spoilers, there was at least like green grass.
Yeah, I know. They had their own agriculture. They were doing pretty fine. Then Thomas came in, and everything went to shit. So I kind of get it.
Everybody died.
Everybody died. Spoiler.
Okay, not everybody dies.
Okay, yeah, you know the show. We spoil everything, so no big deal. So, especially if you don't we don't care about spoilers too much.
And you wouldn't be watching a movie review if you honestly cared about the movie before you came. Because you just go.
Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, it could be like me, sometimes I do that, but then again, I'm weird. So, anyway, so Thomas comes in, and he immediately starts questioning everything. Apparently, a lot of problems would have been solved if they just took Thomas aside and just explained some of these things to him.
Because apparently the entire thing is just tell him you can't leave. That's it. Not tell him.
But they don't explain why.
Or where you're going if you do leave.
Yeah, I know,
honestly, they should have just let him go. Just be like, fine, one less person. See you, bud.
I know, but here's the thing. He immediately goes up, it's like, what's out there? It's like, we don't go out there. It's like, why? Just don't. And they explained to him 20 minutes later anyway, so it's like, why'd you keep that a secret?
Because apparently we needed the dramatic maze doors closing.
Yeah, and then so he goes oh, don't go there now, and then just then the doors start to close. Why didn't you just go, no, the door's about to close in a couple minutes, don't go out there.
Yeah,
easy.
Even if you didn't explain what was on the other side of the maze, it's just like, dude, you're gonna get locked out. We have fire and food over here.
I know. It's that simple. It takes 5 seconds. It's like the anti-drug commercials, you know.
And we've also skipped over another obligatory character.
Are we talking about Chuck again?
Yes.
Okay, we're talking about Chuck.
We never actually introduced Chuck. Chuck is the small, overweight, dark curly-haired sidekick character that the main character needs.
Basically, he's that kid from the Goonies.
Yeah, he's just kind of there to be the little brother figure.
Pretty much, yeah. And of course he makes it to almost makes it to the end.
Which...
Spoiler!
Yeah, and he is like the sacrifice to get them out.
Yeah, and it's like, I like Chuck. He was like the only character I even kind of liked.
He at least had some sort of personality.
Yeah, he actually had character. They actually took time to at least partially develop him.
He's probably the best actor in the entire movie. I think we should give him the Golden Globe.
He is the best actor at the bunch. He's the kid. What's their
excuse? The only person that you can at least remotely emotionally relate to. He's just
it's Chuck. Chuck was cool.
And he has a normal name. Everyone else has stupid names.
Like
Albie and Galley.
And with their dumb names for things like the Gathering or the Greaser. No, it's
Or
not the Greaser. They should have been called the Greasers. That would have been awesome.
And then Minho, which I'm not sure if his name is Minho or Minnow, because no one can enunciate. So
We found Minnow!
Because either that is the most, like, racially stereotypical, here's the Asian character, and we're gonna give him the name Minho, or we're just gonna call him Minnow because we can.
Why the hell not? Alright, so... Of course, he starts getting curious if they finally explain everything to him. It's like, oh, there's the things called grievers out there.
But they believe that the runners turn into grievers. Because...
Is that how it was?
Because they're like, yeah, we leave them out there and then they turn into something else.
Oh yeah, because they get stunned. That turns them into basically zombies, or kind of, sort of zombies.
But they're not really zombies.
Because what really happens, turns out they start remembering everything. Because as soon as they get there, they all lose their memory except for their name, which returns them in a couple days, apparently, or faster, apparently. Because all this takes place in a matter of 4 days.
At least you know the time frame. I didn't even know how many days went by. I was like, what is open, close, running? What?
The only reason I know is because one of the characters at one point says, "You only been here 3 days, and all that shit has happened," and then the movie ended the following day. So that's the only reason
that's true.
So that's the only reason I know that. But
there is no sense of time. You don't actually know how long this could be.
It doesn't really. It's irrelevant because we're too busy moving on to the next set piece. So one day, like the first on the second day, Thomas starts adjusting to his life here. Then all of a sudden, one of the runners comes out of frantic and tries to kill him because
in a pile of bones.
In a pile of bones.
For no reason is ever explained why they have rotting corpses.
That's true.
Just chilling there.
Just chilling there. So
and it's not like, oh well, that's where they put the meat and stuff. Because you would think that if you have to use every scrap of what you have because you build your own shelter, you grow your own food, you would not in fact leave like rotting corpses just in there, chilling
around George, apparently, like George's grave. Apparently,
George's grave. Yes.
George's.
But I love how we know his name, a dead character, and we don't know like 90% of anyone.
Well, yeah, it's because
name.
it's written down. I can remember it's written down.
There's a whole wall of people.
Doesn't mean I associate that with other people. Anyway, so they try to kill him. Obviously, then they explain that he got stunned. It means basically we need to banish him, even though. Really, they should have just killed him. That would have been a better way to do it.
And not only that, the guy is coherent at this point, saying, "Please listen to me. Don't do this."
Well, yeah.
And they say that he hasn't said anything coherent since he's came back, but he's clearly speaking in full sentences.
Well, yeah. To be fair, that's also like saying you should listen to the mental patient because he said hi to you.
At least you should probably not just be like, well, we're gonna
sucks to be you. Shove you out the door.
We're gonna stick you with some sticks.
And that barricade would have been really easy to get past too. But no, they decide he needs to be banished because there's no cure. Basically turns into a zombie. But meanwhile, he gets mad at Thomas because he blames him for everything that's going on for reasons
that
don't really make sense. Yeah. And then they kick him out, and then. Alibi. I'm just gonna call him Alibi because I like that better. Alibi and the Nemo go out. Go out there, and turns out Alibi gets stunned this time, but it looks like they can't get back in before the gates close, so Thomas decides to run out there and try to rescue them, but he gets trapped behind there too.
Because obviously this is happening, because he almost got squished in the door. We needed that dramatic moment where he waited until exactly that moment, even though it was clear several minutes earlier that they were not, in fact, going to get through the gate.
Yeah, like they did the fake death out, where like, just call him Nemo, I don't care. Nemo starts saying, Thomas, 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 and it cuts to black. It's like, we know the movie's not over. We're not even an hour in. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, thank you.
You're not fooling anybody with that. So then they go in there.
Although that would have been a good twist. He just dies.
That would have been awesome. That would have been amazing.
And Minnow's actually the main character.
That would have been awesome. I would have been so behind that. But, so, then they decide, oh, wait, I thought for sure Alibi was dead. I thought for sure they killed him. I thought
he was dead, or he was gonna come back as Super Zombie Man.
Like, so that's why I was wondering why they were dragging him around for so long. It's like, he's dead, guy.
But
You're carrying around a corpse. Well, that would have been lazy acting then at that point.
And I still think that was really stupid that he's just like, what happened to his head? I did what I had to do. Which was apparently
knock him out.
And then drag him back when you're going to banish him?
It's like totally implied that he killed him, and that would have been the logical thing to do.
And then not only that, we already know that if you get stung, you get banished. So if you're already in the maze, why not leave the stung person there, save everyone the banishing, and actually escape? Like, had Minnow done this?
Yeah, it's like in Lost Footage movies, dude, drop the camera and run! It's the same thing, except imagine Alibi as the camera in this particular case. He basically is. That's his only purpose.
But his whole point is to go back in the maze and die. Like, we did nothing. We endangered everyone else and Minnow.
Yeah, and then at the same time, that's when the major plot, even more gigantic plot holes start coming up, because they decide they need to hide, what's his actual name? Not Alibi, but... Albie. They decide they need to hide him, so they apparently have enough time to construct this very complex vine apparatus.
There's no way, apparently, that you can climb these walls, even though this wall is pitted and covered in vines. And they managed to somehow get this, 50 feet up there, loop this vine around, and drag him
and just hoist him there for presumably hours, and then find him again later.
And then hoping that the maze doesn't shift.
Yeah, I know,
because at this point, we don't know how the maze moves. We just know it moves. And you can hear it moving in the night.
So that's been really awkward. It's like, hey, Albie, we're back. Oh.
You got squished.
And then the next thing you know, Nemo takes off because he hears the Griever coming.
Which we already saw the Grievers, and they still had enough time to strap Albie into this complicated thing and get him most of the way up the wall.
Now, the speed of the Griever really depends on how convenient the timing needs to be for the main character to live. But then he just hides under the vines, and it goes right past him.
So it's like, why did we ever leave?
I know, that was my first. I was like, why would you ever leave? I would set up camp and I would wait till morning.
Or why didn't you scale the thing that you tied Albie up with and Spider-Man it on the wall?
I know. I mean, granted, the option A is a bit more comfortable because I don't have to worry about hanging on there and tiring myself out. But...
Although, immediately, not 3 minutes later, we find out Grievers climb walls.
Oh yeah, so that apparently didn't notice the black man bait hanging from the wall. Dinner time, ding, 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 ding. But no, instead, that made no sense to me. It's like, no, I would camp the hell out of that little vine patch.
It's just a very nice vine patch.
It's a very nice vine patch. Apparently there's enough room. They don't look down.
And it's rather close to the exit to the maze.
Even that little scorpion tail they have isn't really quite flexible enough to get in there.
And I love how that scorpion tail only shows up at the end of the movie. It never...
Did it show up in the chase scene?
No!
It did show up in the chase scene?
He used the stabby thing, but he never once, utilized his tail.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Basically, there's just giant spider slayers, is what they look like. Spider slayers that, Quentin Tarantino made. I mean, Del Toro
Think about the really, really, really awful Doom movie that had The Rock in it. And, the bad CGI, and then stick that on a robot scorpion. And that is what you get.
I forgot about that movie.
I tried to. I'm not doing so well.
I succeeded. Although I will admit, I did kind of like the first person 9-minute sequence in that movie. As dumb as it was.
It wasn't so bad. It was novel. I'll give it that.
It was like, okay, there's that. The rest of this sucks, but there's that. So yeah, they make it till morning. After he tricks one into going into a collapsible hallway, which kills it.
Which again, we have we're almost going to die, but we're definitely not going to die because we have main character plot armor.
No, then the evil Marky Mark would be the hero. Just imagine what kind of movie that would be at that point.
Evil Marky Mark would be
Evil Marky Mark. That's his nickname from now on.
Evil Marky Mark.
So they come back. Naturally, and this is the first time anyone's ever done this, apparently.
And
this
no
is
one
a
has
big
ever,
deal.
And no one has ever met a Griever and survived.
Yeah, no one's ever stayed in the maze at night and survived. The Grievers only come out at night until very recently.
For whatever reason, Ben got stung during the day, which it never explained that. Nor does it explain how we know if they never got stung during the day and only got stung at night. How do they know what stinging is if no one survives the night in the maze and they've never been stung during the day? Someone explain that to me.
That's a really good point. I know it's a really attractive derp face, but
I really wondered that one because
that's a really good point. Because they don't even leave any bodies behind either.
And how do they even know that's a Griever?
Because, to be fair, that's the only monster in there, so...
How do they know that? They don't know. No one's gone in there and survived that.
Well, you do hear the grievers in the middle of the night, so and no one comes back, so theoretically something probably killed them.
But we also saw there was, like, bird things hanging on the vines when we look up at one point at Albie hanging there, so some animal flies out.
Well, yeah, but those are bird chirps. That's different.
How do we know it's the bird? We don't actually know what it is. I'm just saying, like, I love how they just assume that there's only one monster and that this is definitely it.
I guess it's like the smoke monster from Lost. You just kind of make assumptions at that point. That's basically...
I'll accept it. That's the least of my plot hole problems.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot you can poke holes at here. I kind of lean back and forth, like, wait, why does that? What? That doesn't make any. What? And,
we're gonna get to one of my favorite plot holes in a little bit.
Okay, so they come back the next day. Really, you think it'd be a huge celebration, like, oh my god, you guys made it. Tell me everything you guys know, everything you saw. But no, instead of, oh, evil Marky Mark comes in, he broke the rules, he must be punished.
Even though he definitely saved their leader, who is now turning into a zombie, which we don't banish. Instead of banishing him, we
restrained him because he got special treatment.
Exactly. Although the other guy just got thrown in a cell and then banished.
Like, nope,
and
you're
there's
gone.
Also no explanation of where that guy came from. There's only one way in and out of the maze. Through that gate.
Well, the gate was open, so theoretically...
But how did he get all the way to the foresty area, which is on the other side of... He would have to, like, run across the giant opening, and no one saw him.
Well, they never said no one saw him.
No one saw the zombie guy screaming?
Well, I hope he wasn't screaming all the way down. Maybe just took a while to kick in. Maybe it was... I mean, yeah, he was running thing going, no! Maybe, because he was still standing there imposing for a few minutes before he started screaming.
They don't show up until the night. They come in right at the end of when the maze is going to close. So he had to show up early, because it was still daylight.
Oh, but their little hut was in the forest, though. So maybe he came in from... But that wouldn't explain this thing. I don't know. I can give myself a headache.
For a little bit, I thought he got stung in the forest. I thought we had, like, crazy killer bees in the forest. That is what that implies. Because it doesn't, when it says he gets stung, it does not actually tell us what does the stinging.
Well, they show it later.
But until, all they say is, once again, let's not actually explain what's going on and just be like, he got stung.
Play the pronoun game.
Okay. He got stung, cool. By what?
Oh, by the way, worst name for a corporation ever.
Wicked.
It's WCKD.
Wicked.
It's like, I was like, that's like naming your corporation EVL.
Oh, and their motto is "Wicked is good."
It's like, well, it's a very good musical, but what about the company?
Well, that we have Elba, so now we have Albie.
I see what you did there. I've never actually seen Wicked, so I don't know.
But I do. I've read part of the book.
Fair enough. All right. So, yeah, then evil Marky Mark wants to punish him for breaking the rules, even though he's done a miraculous thing. But before that can happen, the elevator comes back up again. Turns out now it's a girl on board. And
with a note.
And honest to God, I was waiting for the rape conversation from This Is the End to start popping up.
Because they have no females. They've been here for 3 years.
This is like the first girl they've seen in 3 years.
They see her and immediately know know the term girl, even though they don't have any memories of anything.
Well, to be fair, that's a different part of the memory bank, though.
Still.
I'm a psychology student. I know these things.
Still bothers me.
Well, you understand language. You know what words mean. That doesn't necessarily go away with the working memory. That's just more past and present.
I mean, they have probably selective serums, but it still annoys me.
Fair enough. But, so it's like, surprisingly, they don't have you seen This Is the End? Okay, there's a scene when Emma Watson shows up where they start talking about, like, okay, guys, let's not try to make her uncomfortable. We don't want her to think we're those guys or anything like that. But then they start using the word rape a lot, and then she hears the conversation. They think they're going to rape her, and then she, like, threatens them all and breaks the hell out. But
well, we don't even need to get the rape conversation for her to threaten them all.
That's true. Maybe they did. Maybe that's why she hid in the treehouse.
Well, there was definitely the implied that the two were going to mess around when Thomas and Teresa are sitting at the top of the thing. Like, they heavily made that.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah. I don't know what they were going with that. But, okay, so she comes up. She passes out immediately. She goes in, like, some weird coma thing after saying Thomas's name, which immediately everyone starts freaking out again. And evil Marky Mark just makes it even more evil Marky Mark. Just gets him angry. Even though his eyebrows just make him perpetually angry no matter what he's doing.
And everyone is...
He doesn't smile once. Oh, he does. He does, like, in the very beginning. But after that, no. Just serious, angry face. I'm angry.
He's only smiling when he's beating people up. That is the only time we see Marky
That's like his only
smile.
Defining character trait.
Is just to be imposing. And
I'm the bad guy. That's my only part of this release. So, what are these women doing out here?
running to their car.
There's no like serial killer out here, is there? Oh crap! It's a griever. No, we're good. Someone left the gates open. That's actually pretty much what happens next. So after a lot of hullabaloo, they decide to go back to the griever they killed, and they find like a conveniently the only piece they really need.
This griever is smashed and leaking sludge, and they find one flashy thing.
And it turns out that's the most important flashy thing of them all. And it turns out it's like a key to go where the grievers come out of, and then that apparently pisses off the makers of the maze because they open all the gates and keep them open when the grievers come out, and they just freaking murder everyone.
Yeah, pretty much everybody dies.
I forgot to mention, like, this is after Albie gets saved from being stunned.
Because girl conveniently
had
remembers
serums in her pocket when she came
that
up.
cure the sting.
Because why not?
And so then main character has to go and do something really stupid because main character ended up with one of the stings from one of the grievers.
Yeah, because it turns out when Albie gets stunned and comes back, turns out he has memories of his life before he came there.
And he goes into full post-traumatic stress. Like,
yeah.
Hardcore. We went from amazing leader to I'm going to sit and tear up on my cot.
Pretty much, yeah. So he basically becomes useless at that point. Although he does have his angry testosterone roar thing.
Where he takes out this, like, pocket knife and hacks through the metal griever.
I think it was a machete, one of the machetes. He was just hacking away.
It looked like it was a pocket knife. I don't know. It was crazy.
It's a very tiny machete. So they just starts hacking away at, like, this one of the scorpion tails that has Chuck. And he basically wins that fight. And then he dies, like, 5 seconds later.
Yeah, he lives long enough to tell Thomas to get them out.
Just fly, you fools.
Pretty much. That's all we had.
Except no awesome cliff fighting scene. But
no, he just screams.
Just screams and dies. That's his only purpose here.
I do think there's one key thing that we should mention about this box that keeps coming up. They say that it comes up once every month, always brings a new boy, and brings whatever supplies they need. Apparently, they don't need axes to cut down trees. They only need machetes. But they do need hair product because Minnow has better hair than I do.
All of them do. You look around, everyone's got hair gel in their hair.
But Minnow has like this hair thing.
And do you know what was the girl's name? Tennessee?
Teresa.
Teresa. My names are better than the ones they picked.
We should call her Tennessee.
Alibi, Nemo, Tallahassee.
No, Tallahassee's from Zombieland, which is a much better movie.
Anyway, so Tina Fey apparently comes from the Kirsten Stewart School of Acting.
Yes, we have the mouth
just
slightly ajar.
You know, you just kind of want to go beep, 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 beep. Everything good there? Oh, you getting a phone call?
Yeah, hold
Do we need to take a break?
Just 1 sec.
Take a break. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
1 sec. What's up, kid?
And we're back. Wow, that was some great products.
I know. Fantastic.
Or whatever it is you just saw. I don't know. Could be one of those Geico things.
Talking lizards.
Talking with... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it could be the cavemen. They could be in the caveman back. You never know.
I haven't seen the caveman in like years.
They could make it a comeback. You know, after their sitcom failed, anything can happen.
True.
What were we talking? Oh yeah, Kristen Stewart School of Acting.
Oh my goodness, the hair that is long, dark, slightly wavy,
she has
mouth agape,
no character to her.
Nothing at all. I think the most impressive thing she does is throw rocks at people.
She throws rocks and she has boobs. That's her only defining character trait.
Pretty much.
And that's the only reason she's there. She really serves no other purpose.
Other than just to like bring a note that says she is the last one.
Ever.
That's really,
underlined.
It's like, is that supposed to mean she's the last female in existence and now we need to save the species?
I know. I was like, well, now we have the local breedatorium.
And it was just like, what is this?
I think it was like the last box shipment ever.
That is what's implied because the box, whenever they take the supplies off, goes away.
It goes back down, but this time it didn't. It just stayed there.
It just stayed there.
which was lucky for evil Marky Mark because he used it as a cage to when the Grievers came in. And by the way, if you're trying to hide from evil giant monster things, put out the fucking torch.
Because apparently everywhere here is really well lit, like 90-foot tall mazes, and we have
It's somehow perfect sunlight. Yeah.
Even in the middle of the night, we have no light sources at all. At all.
Yeah, we still get perfect moonlight.
And we didn't even see the moon. We didn't see, there's just really good lighting.
Well, you see the moon when like they're walking through when they're going through the maze. You see a bit of the moonlight.
I love the fact that it happens to be not a cloudy day with a nice big moon. Like, thank goodness it wasn't new moon. They'd all be dead.
Even then, apparently, new moon would probably be in their advantage. Really, I mean, just turn off stop the freaking torch.
Apparently, the Grievers are kind of stupid.
Apparently, everyone is kind of stupid.
I'm also fond of the fact that we see a Griever tear through a hut, like fly through it, hut's gone, spraying stuff. We go to the council room, which has never been called the council room in the entirety of the movie. It's suddenly given a name. We barricade the door with one stick. It's built out of twigs, and apparently...
That's enough.
The Grievers have a really hard time getting into this stick building that we have already seen them tear through previously.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's how it sounds like. So they suddenly just become the aliens from Signs. Charlie Sheen would be so disappointed. They've mastered space flight, but they can't get through a wooden door.
Yeah, apparently not. It was pretty sad to see the giant fighting, killing robot.
And he has to like maneuver his way on the roof to like pull out a vulnerable stick that makes the roof collapse. Like, you didn't need that. Just pip. And then crush.
Immediately afterwards, they start punching their way through the roof. Like, oh,
now you can do it. You just want to build suspense first. Like, and the speed of these things is so dependent on whether it's like the lava from freaking 2012, where it's entirely dependent on how fast the hero's going.
Exactly. And we don't know why certain people survive. We leave the council chamber after we have heroic sacrifice of Albie, which really wasn't that heroic. We don't even know. And apparently all the Grievers have left. For no apparent reason, even though there are clearly survivors, as three of them just wander around. Like, not in any cover, nothing. They're just like, hey, what's up? Just so they can come and punch.
Come and park.
Yeah.
You're in my parking spot, man. That's why they came all in at once. Parking the maze must be a pain. You can't parallel anywhere without blocking the road.
Exactly, you get a lot of tickets in there, and the parking meters.
The parking grievers are like, oh man, I was sitting here for like 5 minutes. Sorry, man, you didn't pay the toll.
Let me stab you with my
sting. That's a warning shot.
Otherwise, I'll use my actual tail grabby thing and then eat you. Apparently, they eat people. For no discernibly good reason.
Is that what they're doing? I don't know.
You didn't see them munch through the guy at the end? Like,
I think I just kind of tuned some parts out towards the end. Like, alright, I'm just, like, my brain starts moving on to other stuff. Anyway, so that all happens. Evil Marky Mark gets really evil now and decides, I'm gonna take over.
And punches people.
So now he has like a totalitarian regime, and he's gonna sacrifice Thomas and Teresa.
And now Thomas has his memory back and tells us that, in fact, Marky Mark has been right about everything.
Everything is entirely his fault for getting worse.
Yep.
And even if he didn't, you could do that logically anyway. If Thomas didn't kill the Griever, they wouldn't have found the key, which wouldn't have unlocked the hole, which wouldn't have caused him to freak out and open all the gates and keep them open, which caused half people to die. So really, everything is Thomas's fault.
It really, really is. We also, at some point in time in here, go to the runner's secret hut.
Oh, yeah.
And find out that they have mapped the entire maze. They know how they open, they know how they close, they know how it works, how they know the order arbitrarily. Because it just depends on, like, when.
I was wondering that, too. Just conveniently, the order was exactly right.
Yeah, there's no real clue to how that one works.
So, yeah, that happens, but I think they found a way out, and when they do, that's when all the Grievers come out. So Thomas recruits, like, some people to help him save themselves and also lead a group of people to go for the Griever exit and kind of go for all or none technique, which means half the red shirts die.
People who we've never met. The ones who had speaking lines survived. If you did not speak, you're dead.
Except for Chuck.
Well, Chuck was the sacrifice character.
Yeah.
Because we have to have the epic shootout at the end where we trade.
And evil Marky Mark, of course.
Which somehow they managed to impale him with a giant stick through the ribcage.
Well, technically the ribcage is more down here. This is more towards the heart over here. So it was a fair throw.
They got it, like, through him.
Well, it was a sharpened stick. It was a spear. They showed it. It was a spear.
I know it was a spear.
Sharp pointing things tend to go through cartilage and all that.
With, like, no throwing. How did Minnow have the room to get that out?
Because he's Minnow.
Because he has
the
nice
magic
hair,
Minnow.
so screw
Yes.
the rules.
Yes, pretty much. At this point, that's not even the worst of it. We haven't gotten to the big plot twist yet.
Oh, no. Oh, and while they're escaping, we now get Griever Central, and a billion Grievers attempt to eat them.
And then they keep pushing them off the rocks to, like, kill them, but then they climb back up.
Yeah, but we can see the Grievers climbing the walls. So yes, let's push them into the cavern to watch them climb back up.
I mean, to be fair, every minute counts, but at the same time, it's like, you really have accomplished nothing.
And so then we find that there is, in fact, a combination lock that has never existed until this moment.
And it's like, it's 8 digits, what do we do? And
there's 8 sections of the maze.
And conveniently, it's like, what's the 8 sections? So what's the order, Nemo? And he happens to give it in exactly the right order that conveniently fits the code.
Because again, they could just arbitrarily, depending on what day you start.
It could entirely depend on when you start that. So it's like, wait, that makes no sense. But I was like, unless it, like, stops for a week and then starts up again, then maybe that would be a reason. But
I never gave any indication.
No, it never did. No, that's the only reason I can think of that pattern working. But, so they get out, and then it turns out, big shock, the whole thing was one giant social experiment. This is supposed to be a surprise.
So we walk into here, we find a door conveniently labeled exit, and even the characters are like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
because token African American who survives has to mention it.
Of course. And then they get in there, turns out like everything looks like it's been destroyed. And
very, 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 very recently.
Yeah, very recently.
Like
and then,
fresh blood and then
there's the video that kind of is supposed to explain everything, but it just made me mad.
And of course there's only one flashing button. Yeah. That he just happens to... Whoa, that freaked me out. That car pulled over.
The car next to us is pulling out.
Oh, God. That is not good for the brain.
Yeah, let's talk about the brain for me here, because there's a lot of problems I have with this twist ending.
Well, there's a lot of brain scans happening.
So the twist ending is, it turns out everything, this whole world they built is basically post-apocalyptic, as the sun has apparently flared up and fried everything. Somehow some people survived. I don't know how. I'm not even gonna bother thinking about it now.
Yeah, we're not there.
That might be part of the test. I don't know. But then they say it's like, and then after that it came worse, because there's a virus called the flare that is incurable. But we think we might have found. They clearly already have the cure.
Since we've given it to the crazy kids.
I'm assuming that was the flare. I mean, it looked the same.
Turned their eyes all black and they went crazy.
So, and they had the blue veins, and so I'm assuming it's the same thing. So clearly they had a cure, but it says, no, you guys are all have some kind of immunity to it.
But they obviously were infected by some version of it. It might not be the same thing, but it's at least a version of it.
But that says we need to find out what makes you different, but you don't need to be tested, and you need to be probed, you need to be challenged. Like, that makes no sense.
So, and they have to be challenged very, very dangerously. They've been doing this since they were kids, like putting tests on them, and then randomly every month, like clockwork, for 3 years, they got rid of a kid and sent them to the maze.
It makes no sense.
They're not scanning their brains. It never implies.
Actually, we do see brain scans on like some of the monitors and stuff.
Oh yeah, but how are they scanning their brains from like that far away? Do they scan the dead ones' brains? Do the grievers like eat their brains and
My thing is like, if there's some kind of immunity thing, it's clearly a biological thing, not a psychological thing. Why are we doing psychological social tests? You clearly need to do blood work, do brain scans, do all that stuff. You don't need to throw them in a freaking like social experiment like this.
It really is. It's like Lord of the Flies without the leadership qualities.
It's like, it just makes no sense why this would be your first option. Like, I mean, you do blood work, you look for antibodies, you do run biological tests, you don't run psychological tests. I would have been happier if they just said, oh, we just want to see what would happen if we did this. Okay, I could buy that better.
Or even see if you can survive in this harsh reality. Like, you're the next generation.
I mean, at least I can see a bit more justification for that, because that's more like, well, we just want to see what would happen. It's like, yeah, I can imagine some scientists doing that, to be honest.
I mean, no. In fact, they're supposed to be attempting to find the cure.
It makes no sense. But then after that, it turns out there's another organization that doesn't like what they're doing. Big shock. Some people had a problem with their methods. Comes in and apparently just murdered all the scientists.
While this is being recorded, and they managed to leave the lady who's recording it until the end.
Yeah,
even though it's glass walls.
They're very polite.
And they don't kill her. They don't actually kill her.
And then after that, the terrorist people make no effort to actually help the kids. Granted, that was on purpose, based on the very, very, very end.
We're getting there. And so then the lady, in front of these kids, shoots herself in the head in the video.
Also, after everything else had been through, that probably wouldn't have been much at that point.
That still probably wasn't a nice way. You get out, you're in a room full of dead bodies, and the person who's supposed to be telling you what's going on shoots herself in the head.
Fair enough.
Wow, I'm glad I left. Maybe Marky Mark was more right than any of us thought.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, of course, Marky Mark somehow gets there. No reason why. They show him has a key. We don't know how he got it.
Or how he even knows how this key works.
Or how he got there. What the code was. There's so many questions on that alone. Doesn't make any sense.
And he was been stung at this point.
I've been stung, and he knows how to use a gun, which is another kind of big question mark there, too.
But at that point, he would start having his memories back. But how he knew how to use a gun...
Maybe he was a trainer in the past. Yeah, that's why they said...
No, but they said they had him since they were kids. So unless part of their training
because he was
learning...
one. I don't know. There's so many questions.
Yeah.
So many questions. But of course, you have the inevitable confrontation. And Marky Mark dies, and Chuck valiantly throws himself in front of the bullet, and he dies.
Even though we're not actually, I don't really see who Chuck was protecting. Like, it was a random
Thomas,
shot.
I guess,
because he fired after he'd been stabbed, so it was a random shot that happened to hit
poor Chucky.
Chuck. But Chuck and
Tommy, help! Oh my God, it works! This is a sequel to Rugrats.
Clearly it is. Oh.
Oh God, there you go. And then so that happened, and then the terrorist people come in. They put them on a helicopter,
and they have shot everyone else indiscriminately. So why they would come back and suddenly save these kids?
Well, because part of the experiment at that point.
I know, but I mean, just since at that point we don't know it's still part of the experiment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you're just like
I was ready to call BS on that until they revealed it. I'm still ready to call BS on it, but. For different reasons.
Yes.
So, turns out they come in a helicopter. Turns out that whole they killed themselves or the terrorists killed all the scientists was a hoax in itself. Evil scientist lady who looks like she saw herself really didn't and said, everything's gone perfectly as planned.
Yes, the maze experiments were a great success.
Now let's start Phase 2.
And this is with the kid, and they say that there were more survivors than they anticipated, and Thomas is fantastic, and these are the key to the future.
I mean, it's just as bad as like in the first Hunger Games when the old guy at the very end walks out the door like, well, I'm off to find the sequel. That's basically...
Pretty much, that is what we got. And I'm not sure how one fakes suicide and then is able to clean it up with a small napkin.
Because reasons. I don't know at this point. So, if you've gathered from our very long summary, we didn't like it very much. I don't know why it's just popped up.
I feel that the entire movie is the actors going, help, I've fallen in a plot hole and I can't get out.
And our audience applauded too. That kind of made me like, really?
I was walking out and there was a couple of younger ladies behind me who were just raving about how it was absolutely fantastic and they had so much anxiety.
I thought like, lady, I can introduce you to movies.
This is not one of them.
This is nothing. This is garbage popcorn
film. It absolutely is just sitting there milking the cash cow of teen dystopian movies. So,
basically.
And again, like, if you enjoy that, I enjoy really terrible movies. Like, my movie taste, if we sat down here, so many of you would be like, wow, you should never say anything ever again about movies.
You clearly have not met Patrick.
You've lost all of your credibility. But... I don't have a problem with people liking it, but for me, oh gods, why? Why? I could have bought so much food for what I just sat through. I'm a college student. Like, food's a concern.
Apparently not for me. I do this like 5 times a week. Not 5 times, I mean, exaggerating, but a lot. On a weekly basis.
I prefer to eat.
Fair enough. I do too, but that's pretty much all my food goes is food and movie tickets. Anyway, so I think that wraps up our thoughts on the movie. So now we got trailers. And I have them all written down.
I'm glad you wrote them down because I slept through.
Oh yeah, the first couple months we did this, the first several months we did this, we tried to memorize them all. We'd always forget one. Never fails without fail. We'd always forget at least one. So the first one we got was for St. Vincent, the Bill Murray movie.
Which is Bill Murray being a crotchety old man and a bad influence on a young boy who appears not to have a father, but becomes father figure and goes to Catholic school. And I don't know. It has Bill Murray in it. It looks cute. It looks funny.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be great.
Compared to a lot of movies that came out, I would pay money for that one.
I mean, like I've said this before, I'm a little worried about Melissa McCarthy because I really don't like Melissa McCarthy.
Hopefully she's just there to be, body number 7.
I mean, she's obviously one of the main characters. She's the boy's mother, so...
That doesn't mean that we have to really focus on her.
I'm just hoping, as long as she doesn't do the Tammy shtick, I'll be happy.
Fair enough.
Happier, I should say, because I sat through Tammy, and that was god-awful.
Oh. No, but again, that looked like a legitimately good movie. It looked like Bill Murray gets to play his comedy, but as well as his serious roles. It'll be a good fit.
Yeah. And then we got Interstellar, which is the Christopher Nolan movie.
Which I will see.
Matthew McConaughey in space. Come on.
I still am not entirely sure.
Hey, Matthew McConaughey's really proven himself the past couple of years, so...
I liked a lot of his movies even when he wasn't proving himself, because I just found him really funny, and it was good enough for me. But, I don't know. I mean, I will see it. Again, I'm still not entirely sure what the plot is, aside from man leaves small child named Murphy.
From what I understand, basically, the Earth run out of resources, so they send Matthew McConaughey to space to try to find a new hospitable planet.
Got more out of any of the trailers than I've ever seen, because I just sit there and...
You clearly watched the wrong trailer, because one of the trailer does explicitly say this.
Oh, well, Yeah.
So...
If I couldn't remember the names of the movies in the trailers, that shows you how much I pay attention to the trailers.
Fair enough. Huh. And then we got Ouija. Because clearly all board games need a movie now.
And it's a horror film, and it's coming out on Halloween. And it's made from the people who did the Amityville Horror and Insidious. So if you like those movies, you will probably like this one.
Insidious Chapter 2 was hysterical.
It has all of the tropes. It has the girl whose eyes roll back in her head. It has the scary little child with, blood on the walls. It has a stupid catchphrase, "Hi, friend." So.
I just can't wait for Sorry, the movie.
Oh my god. Jenga!
That would be amazing. It's I have a dream of Checkers, the movie. Just because I want to see one scene of people on a submarine kind of thing, and it goes, "Captain, we're out of missiles, what do we do? We have to jump them." "You're mad, Captain! Mad like a fox! Do it!"
Well, we already had giant chess in Harry Potter, so we've gotten chess off.
True, but it needs to have a phrase. Hopefully Liam Neeson just kicks someone off and says, "King me, motherfucker." And then just...
Oh my goodness, that would be so funny.
You'd pay good money to see that, right?
I would.
And chess would also be a weird high school drama.
I could see that. From King and Queen.
From King and Queen, the knight's kind of the off-putting one who's kind of just wobbles around, always forming L shapes.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna go hell for that joke. Anyway, then we got the Prince of Persia reboot. Exodus.
It's not Prince of Persia, it's Prince of Egypt.
I'm sorry, not Prince of Persia. I wish it was Prince of Persia. I mean, Prince of Persia needs a reboot too.
It really does, oh my goodness.
But the Prince of Egypt reboot,
but now
Exodus.
It's live action.
It has Christian Bale playing Moses. It works better than Russell Crowe playing Noah. So.
And there's really bad CGI in this movie. The trailer is, look at my bad CGI and my terrible lighting.
I mean, it's basically doing the same thing Prince of Egypt did. Prince of Egypt's a great freaking movie, too.
Although I like the fact that Moses and Ramses have swords out for really some inexplicable reason.
Yeah, because this one it needs to be a darker, edgier film. I mean, Noah had freaking rock golems.
Because this one is who can kill more people. What?
Well, it's I don't think you can.
I don't really think.
Old Testament God was pretty badass, but if you look at the Old Testament, it's a good read. You got giant floods and seas parting, and then Jesus came along and kind of tempered down a little bit. But
yeah, I don't know.
I'll still go see it. I mean, I can't be more offensive than I was during the Nova review.
Once again, we're following along the edgy. Everything needs an edgy reboot, including Bible stories.
Because totally. I mean, I like that it's focused on that mean brothers, because that was something that's kind of glossed over in the Ten Commandments movie.
Yeah.
And that was easily the best part of The Prince of Egypt, was the fact that it focused on that.
It's still...
You like The Prince of Egypt?
I did. I mean, I saw it once when I was a wee lass.
Yeah, actually watch it now. It's actually a lot better than you remember it, to be honest.
Because I think when I was little, I kind of went into, oh my goodness, this is church story, and I went into church mode and just kind of like tried to sleep through it.
Turn the lights off on us.
We didn't need the lights, apparently.
No. But, no, I agree. It's one of those things, though, like, we watch it nowadays, though, and just taking obviously it's a Bible story, but at the same time, you just take within that context, though, it's so really, really good.
And now understanding it as an adult and not, like, immediately going into 5-year-old, like...
I mean, there's a lot of good subtext in The Prince of Egypt, aside from just religious stuff.
Indeed, but, again, when you're small.
Yeah, fair enough. And then we had The Penguins of Madagascar. I got nothing.
Yeah, we just need more sequels, obviously. That's what we got here.
We can't let Madagascar die.
No, because that's just the only thing we can do anymore, is make things that shouldn't talk. Like the Planes movie.
I had to sit through the Planes 2 earlier this year.
I feel for you.
Alone.
I feel for you more.
You know how embarrassing that was? Being in that theater with a bunch of little kids. With a very straight face, stern, crossed arms. It was not a fun time. Alright. And last one we got was Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I don't know, I like the last two Hunger Games.
I'm not the biggest Hunger Games fan. I'm not a big Katniss fan. I never got on that hype. I have seen both of them. They were not terrible. Again, they just weren't really my cup of tea.
Fair enough.
I have a feeling that these are going to be... that the new 2, because this is obviously part 1 of 2, will be up to the same standards as the other 2 movies. They'll be enjoyable, but not really my thing.
More than likely, pretty much. Like, if you like the last two Hunger Games movies, you'll probably like this one. So, I'll go see it. I'll probably like it. So,
I have no doubt that I will also go and see it. We'll see if I stay awake.
Fair enough. So that's about it. So, final thoughts?
I should have bought food.
If you like the book, you like the movie, fine, probably. I don't know.
Well, I don't know how true it is, because there's a character named Newt in the movie that we never covered, because he's really just there to be the token European guy, who I do know in the book plays more of a role than is given here, so.
Yeah, so, I don't know. It's not, I didn't like it personally. There's a lot of plot holes. If you don't care, then...
If you like the genre and you just want to go see a kind of interesting action movie that has, like, people doing stunts of running and jumping and fighting and fire, but you want it in the teen setting.
I'd rather go back and watch a Liam Neeson movie.
Well, it's Liam Neeson. We have nameless protagonists, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's Neeson season. Alright, I think we're done here. So we'll be back next week with Box Trolls, Tusk, we still gotta get through, and there's one more. Oh, The Equalizer. So we'll be back for those 3. See you all next week. What are you laughing at?